Good morning. I want to finish these notes on kites. We already talked about trapezoids. Now we need to talk about kites. These are the two types of quadrilaterals we're going to focus on that do not have parallel sides. That's why they're not a special kind of parallelogram. So they're not on your yellow handout. In a kite, there are some characteristics. One is that the diagonals are perpendicular, so I can add a right angle. And then the second thing is that exactly one pair of opposite angles is congruent. Exactly one pair of opposite angles is congruent. So, for instance, either this one and this one match. I'm going to put a question mark. Or it could be M and P match, but only one pair match. And since it is a quadrilateral, we still have that interior angle formula, the n minus 2 times 180. 4 minus 2 times 180, 2 times 180 is 360. So even though they don't all match, we still know they need to add up to 360. Okay, so our first problem says if WXYZ is a kite, find angle Z. Well, since these two angles don't match, you zoom in, these two angles do not match because one's 80 and one's 60. X and Z must match. So let's see, 80 plus 60 is 140. 360 minus 140 is 220. So these two angles have to add up to 220, and they both have to match. So 220 divided by 2 is 110. So these angles are 110. And of course, if I wanted to check myself, I could add up all four angles and make sure they add up to 360. So 110, 110, 80, 60. Oh, sure does. So I know 100% I'm right. Again, only one pair of opposite angles are congruent. So since those two didn't match, these two had to match. But if those two had matched, we would have been stuck. We wouldn't have known what to do with X and Z. Besides the fact that we know they add up to 360. Okay, our next example says if GHJK is a kite, find each measure. Well, let's go ahead and add the right angle box there. And if I really were to go back, I need to add characteristics because it's marked on this figure, but they didn't list it. It's that the longer sides match, like RM and RP, and the shorter sides match, like MN and MP. So I would say long sides congruent. I can't talk to you. Give me like 2 minutes. Congruent. And short sides congruent. Okay, so if GHJK is a kite, find each measure. They want to know the measure of JRK. Well, we know where the diagonals bisect, or geez Louise, where the diagonals cross, they're perpendicular. We don't know they bisect. I don't know why I said that. We know the diagonals are perpendicular, though. JRK is right here. That is definitely a right angle, so the measure of JRK is 90 degrees. Okay, part B says if GHJ is 90, GHJ would be here, and GKJ is 110. Find the measure of HGK. Okay, so there's a lot going on that picture. If I were to simplify this issue with my ugly version of a kite, we know this one's 90, we know this one's 110. We're asked to find this one. Again, we know one thing about a kite is that exactly one pair of opposite angles are congruent. Since those two aren't congruent, these two have to be congruent. So 110 plus 90, that's 200. 360 minus 200, we have 160 degrees to share. But since there are two angles and they have to have the same measure, I'm going to divide 160 by 2, and I would get 80. So it's 80, 80, 110, and 90, and if I wanted to check myself and add it all together again, I'm sure again it would equal 360. Okay, so the answer is 80 degrees. Okay, and the next one says if HJ is 7, find HG. Well, HG is also the short part, so it would also be 7. Okay, if you are not taking the ACT Aspire right now, then I expect you to either finish your trapezoid notes on the front of this or to be working on your 6-6 worksheet. Either way, the 6-6 worksheet is going to be due tomorrow, and we are testing on Wednesday. Okay, thank you. Hey, Owen, I'm free.